නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. May my homage to the Blessed One, the extremely enlightened one, the worthy one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Anikkasavu kasavang yovattang paridahessati apeto dhamma saccena naso kasava marahati yochavanta kasavassa සීලේසු සුසමාහිතෝ උපේතෝ ධම සච්චේන සවේකාසාව මරහතිති. සාදු සාදු සාදු. Dear Dhamma friends, today also I warmly welcome all of you for today's Dhamma sermon. Today we are going to discuss Dhammapada verse number 9 and 10. In this sermon, at the beginning, I explain about the meaning of the verses, and after that, there is a beautiful story which relate to these two verses. And after that, I summarize the sermon at the end of the sermon. Then I conclude the sermon. So, as the beginning, I will explain the meaning of the two verses. In the first verse, it says, Anikkasavu kasavang yo vattang paridahessati. Here, Anikkasavu means, it talks about a monk who is wearing robes. But still, that monk doesn't know how to eradicate, how to avoid a corrupted or defiled mind. So, that type of a monk, even though he wears the robe, even though he just possesses the robe and wears the robe and representing as the monk, he's not worthy to wear the robe. Also, he doesn't possess Dhamma, mean the restrainment or the control of the senses. As well as he doesn't maintain the truthfulness. That's called the apeto dhamma saccena. Apeto mean he is away from, Dhamma mean the restrainment and the controlling of the senses. Saccena means the truth. He doesn't maintain truthfulness. So that type of a monk is not worthy to bear this robe. That is the meaning of the first verse. On the other hand, in the second verse, it says, Yochavanta kasavassa siilesu susamahito upeto dhamma saccena save kasa marahati. Yochavanta kasavassa. Second type of monks, they are worthy and they also bearing the robe, possess the robe, and also their mind is also not corrupted. He is either fully awakened by fully relinquishing, fully given up the defilements, he either fully enlightened one, or the practitioner who is trying to eradicate the defilements. That type of a monk also possessed Dhamma, mean the sensual restrainment, controlling of the senses, and also he maintains the truthfulness, saccena. So that type of a monk indeed worthy to bear the robes. So that is the meaning of the second verse. Our great teacher Samma Sambuddha preached these two verses on behalf of a monk called Devadatta. Most probably you may have heard this name. Devadatta was one of a monk of the Buddha Sangha community, and he was the foremost enemy of the Buddha, and he was performing so many unwholesome actions against the Buddha and the Dhamma. But initially he was a well-known and well-mannered bhikkhu, because in the scriptures it is said that he had even achieved the jhana, as well as he had produced some kind of psychic powers also in the beginning, initially. So he was considered as a good monk at the beginning. But with the time he was searching for bad purposes, like he wanted to compete with the Buddha, he wanted to become a Buddha, and thereby he just gradually began to compete with the Buddha in order to take the position of the Buddha. So that's why he was changed into a bad monk eventually. So this is the story today that I am going to explain you is related to this Devadatta. So when the Buddha was living in Rajagaha, Buddha was living in the Savatthi town. At that time this Devadatta was living at the Rajagaha town, and most of the time Buddha was spending most of the time Buddha was spending in the Savatthi. Time to time Buddha was visiting towns like Rajagaha. So this Devadatta monk, he was living in the Rajagaha town. So on one occasion, our two chief disciples of the Buddha, Venerable Sariputta Thera as well as Venerable Moggallana Thera, they used to visit that Rajagaha town in order to some Dhamma propagation. So once the two chief disciples with another 1,000 subordinate monks arrived to the Rajagaha town where the Devadatta monk was living. So after the arrival of the monks with the two chief disciples, Venerable Sariputta Thera began to doing Dhamma sermons to the people of the Rajagaha town. In one of the sermon, he was teaching about the dana, about the benefits of practicing the charity. So while doing that sermon, he was telling to the disciples that mostly he targeted the lay followers. So he said to them that in this world there are four types of givers, four types of charitable persons. One person is there, he likes to do charitable activities, he likes to give alms, he likes to offer, but he doesn't encourage, he doesn't get the contribution, he doesn't get the participation of the others like friends, family members and other subordinates. He doesn't get the support from the others. So because of that, in future existences, in future rebirths, he will get lots of wealth, he will be having a favorable rebirth by having so much of wealth. But it is said that since he haven't encouraged others to give dana, since he had not taken the support from the others, in future rebirths he doesn't get much retinue, much friends, much subordinates. So that is the first type of persons can be seen in this world. Then again Venerable Sariputta said there are again the second types of people in this world, second type of charitable people. How they behave, they are not mainly they themselves give dana, but somehow they encourage others to give dana. They instigate others' minds by telling the benefits of the dana, good vipaka of the dana. So thereby they just pushing others for giving dana, for charitable activities. Because of that wholesome deed, in future existences, they will get lots of retinue. They will get lots of family members, friends, and subordinates, supporters, but they don't have enough wealth, physical wealth they don't get, because they themselves had not given any dana, but they had encouraged others to give dana. Because of that, they will only get the retinue, followers, and the supporters, friends, family members. They will get lots of them, but they don't have much wealth. And if you could wisely, if you can just observe the society, you can have lots of examples. There are so many examples can be seen in the society. There are some people, they have lots of wealth, but very less amount of supporters, family members, friends they were having. We could see some persons, when they have family member passed away from his family, to continue to conduct the final activities of the body, they won't get enough support from the others. That is because but they sometimes they may have lots of money, but they don't have supporters, because as I said, they were practicing only giving. They were not they have not taken support from the others. That is the reason behind that. And also in the societies, we could see some people, they were having lots of friends, family members, and other subordinates, but they don't have enough wealth, enough money. That is because in the previous lives, they have encouraged, they have supported to others to give dana, but they themselves had not taken, had not given any dana. That is the reason for them to have only the friends and relatives, but they don't have enough wealth. Those are the two types of persons can be witnessed in this society. And also there is another type of donors are there. They don't give anything in charity, as well as they don't encourage others to give any dana. So that is the third type of persons. Venerable Sariputta said, these types of persons, when they die and when they get the rebirth in the next existences, they won't get enough food, enough accommodation, enough wealth, as well as enough friends, enough relatives. They don't get both wealth and the retinue, because they don't practice the dana, giving, charitable activities, as well as they don't encourage others also to give dana. So that is the reason to have that kind of a situation for them. That is the third type of people could be witnessed in the society. And the most important and most appreciated persons in this world are the fourth types of persons. The fourth type of persons, they are practicing dana. They themselves practicing dana, giving dana, offering alms, lots of charitable activities, as well as they are encouraging. They encourage others also to give dana. They teach others, they instigate others in order to give dana. Because of that, in future rebirths, not only in one life, not only in one existences, sometimes 100 existences, sometimes 1,000 existences, sometimes 100,000 existences in the future, they will get much wealth. They have everything, every comforts, physical comforts, as well as they have retinue. They have so many friends, they will have so many relatives, they will have so many subordinates, they will have so many supporters behind them, because they themselves use dana in this life, as well as they are practicing the dana, as well as they encouraging others also to give dana. Because of that, they will get that benefit in the future existences. So those are the 4 types of persons available in this world. So this sermon done by the Sariputta Thero was listening by one of the lay person in that society. He was not a wealthy one, he was just an ordinary householder. He was not having much wealth, and he thought to himself that I have been born as a ordinary person because I have not given much dana in the previous existences, as well as I haven't encouraged others also to give dana. That's why I am not getting enough wealth as well as enough friends. So by thinking so, he decided to give a dana. So by having that thought in his mind, he invited Venerable Sariputta to a alms giving or a dana in his house. So at that time, Venerable Sariputta asked from him that, okay, how many monks do you want? At that time, he was again asked from the Sariputta Thero, Venerable Sir, how many monks available? At that time, Venerable Sariputta said, there are 1,000 subordinates, including, you may have heard that when Sariputta was traveling, when Sariputta was living, with him 500 disciples, all of them were considered as the wise bhikkhus, because the Sariputta Thero was the foremost monk in the wisest bhikkhus. He is the foremost one, and his followers also considered as the wise monks, as well as Venerable Moggallana. He was also having another 500 bhikkhus as followers, as subordinates, and they were considered as the foremost in psychic powers, Venerable Moggallana. So his followers also considered as powerful in psychic powers. So including all the monks, there were about 1,000 monks. So Venerable Sariputta said to that householder that, okay, there are 1,000 monks. So he said the count of the monks to the householder. At that time, that householder said that, okay, Venerable Sir, I will invite all the 1,000 monks. So then Venerable Sariputta silently accepted the invitation. So by knowing that particular householder went back, and he was now immediately, hurriedly, diligently arranging that alms giving ceremony. So he was not a wealthy one. So what he was doing was, he was just going home to home, street to street, and informing the people about his alms giving ceremony on the following day. So people who are in the city, they were promised that, okay, we will give dana for 5 months. Some group of men said, we will give dana for 10 months. Some said, we will give for 20. Some say for 40. Some say 50. Some say 100. Likewise, all the 1,000 monks were allocated to the people by this person. He was just organizing the arm ceremony. And in the city, there was one of wealthy person. So he had a valuable piece of cloth made out of valuable kind of a material, and that was considered as one of the invaluable piece of cloth. So he just given that piece of cloth to the organizer, householder, and said to him that if there's any shortage while you are arranging the dana, if there's any shortages, then you could sell this piece of cloth and you can find the money. You can convert this into money and you can buy whatever you want in order to fulfill the requirement of the dana. So somehow there were nothing in shortage while the dana was happening. So ultimately the valuable piece of cloth was just remained, and somehow the arm ceremony was also successfully completed, successfully ended. And after ending the ceremony, now people gathered and people discuss about the valuable piece of cloth, and they were discussing to whom we should offer this valuable piece of cloth. At that time, some people said, Venerable Sariputta Thera, he is the worthy one, he is the most purified one, because he was considered as the second foremost to the Buddha, the first foremost disciples of the Buddha, so we have to offer to him, some said. But since this town is Rajaga, the most of the followers, most of the monks were supporting to the Devadatta, and most of the lay supporters, they were supporting to the Devadatta, and they said, no, we should offer this piece of cloth to the Venerable Devadatta. Somehow at the end, all of them were agreed to offer that piece of cloth to the Venerable Devadatta Thera. So, Venerable Devadatta Thera, he was received this piece of cloth, and after having that piece of cloth, he immediately cut into pieces and he prepared a beautiful robe out of the cloth. He just stitched a beautiful robe, including the upper garments as well as the inner garments as well. So after preparing the robes, he was walking here and there very proudly and with so many conceit. Still he didn't get at the time he was wearing this robe, he was not yet enlightened, but Venerable Sariputta, he was fully enlightened at that time. So since he had not yet achieved the enlightenment, he had a kind of conceit and kind of pride. That's why he was behaving like that. So the people who just witnessed this event, they thought it's not worthy this monk to wear this robe. So one of the monk went from this city to the Savatthi town, and that monk met the Buddha and informed the Buddha about this event, this incident. So that is the occasion our great teacher Samma Sambuddha said that this Devadatta was wearing unworthy robes not only in this existences. In one of the previous existence also, he was wearing the robe and he was performing unworthy activities. So thereby Buddha began to explain one of the Jataka story. In one of the past life, Devadatta was born as a elephant hunter. At the same time, our Samma Sambuddha, our great teacher, being as a Bodhisattva mean, the one who fulfilling paramitas or fulfilling perfections in order to become the Buddha. So Bodhisattva was born as a elephant leader in a large gathering of elephants. So at that time there were no Buddhas in this world. In the scriptures it is said that to have a Buddha, to appear the Buddha in the world is a very rarest event, one of the rarest event. And when the Buddhas were not there in this world, there are some specific kinds of Buddha were appear to this world. Those are known as Pacceka Buddhas. Some said private Buddhas. So what they were doing, they were also can achieve the fully enlightened without any support from the others. They could gain the liberation without any support. So they were considered as self-awakened Buddhas. But the speciality of these private Buddhas, they were unable to preach the Dhamma, preach the enlightenment to the others. Whereas the fully enlightened Buddha, like our Samma Sambuddha, he himself self-awakened, as well as he could propagate, he could elaborate, he could teach that Dhamma to other beings in order to gain the liberation. That is the difference between the Buddha and the Pacceka Buddha. So during this story happens, there were so many private Buddhas. So this large gathering of large herds of elephants, when they were traveling, when they were moving in the jungle, once they encounter Pacceka Buddha, private Buddha, they used to worship him and just pass the private Buddhas. So this incident, this event, noticed by the elephant hunter. So he was devised a plan. So what he was doing at that time, he just followed that private Pacceka Buddhas, and when the Pacceka Buddha was bathing in one of the pond, and once the Pacceka Buddha just get down to the pond for bathing, at that time this elephant hunter hiding in a bush and just come out, and he just stole the robes of the Pacceka Buddha, and he just went away from that place. And after stealing of the robes from the Pacceka Buddha, now when the elephant herd moving here and there, now he just wear the elephant hunter, what he was used to do, he was just wearing the robes and he represented fakely as the private Buddha. So without knowing that, the elephant of the herd, once they were moving, they were used to worship and give veneration to the fake private Buddha. So after he just letting all herds to pass, and when the final elephant, when passing him, at that time he just immediately he used to take his weapons and he used to kill the elephant, and he take all the valuable parts of the elephant, like the tusks and all the other valuable parts, and the remnants or the remaining parts he used to bury in the ground. So this was his cunning, unwholesome activity at that time. After few years, few months, few time, the leader of the elephants, the Bodhisattva, he noticed that the number of elephants in the gathering, number of elephants in the herd were dwindling, were reducing. So at that time he thought something was happening. So as a leader, he was a wise one, and he was just searching at that time what was happening then. So he saw this Pacceka Buddha, the fake Pacceka Buddha. Then he had a suspicious mind on him, and he thought, he just, while moving, he let all the elephants go in front, and he just came at last. And one day, as usual, this fake elephant hunter, wearing the robes, he was waiting to kill the one of the elephant. And at that time, our Pacceka Samma Sambuddha, the Bodhisattva elephant, he was coming at last, and he carefully came and he worshipped the at last of the last elephant of the herd. He just began to worship the fake private Buddha. At that time, as usual, that fake private Buddha just removed his robes and took his weapons and tried to kill the elephant. At that time, that Bodhisattva elephant immediately understood, immediately recognized his wicked activity, and he just immediately jumped back and he avoided the attack. And he was, he's a powerful elephant at that time. He just grabbed the elephant hunter with his trunk, and he was just about to hit him on the ground. But he thought, though he is a elephant killer, elephant hunter, but still he was wearing the robes. So if I killed him, then I am not respecting, I am not giving the sufficient veneration to the robe. So by thinking so, he just let him to alive, let him to live. And he just advised him by saying, you have to stop these wicked activities in future. By saying so, he just advised him, and he just let him go, let him away from that occasion. So by telling that Jataka story, Buddha again said to the monks who gathered at that time with the Buddha, this Devadatta Thera was performing wicked activities by wearing robes, not only in this life, in the previous existences also he was behaving the same. So that is the occasion Buddha began to preach these two verses. First verse, it says, Anikkasavu kāsāvaṃ yovattaṃ paridahessati apeto dhammasacchena naso kāsā marahati. Anikkasavu kāsāvaṃ means, though there are so many monks available in the community of Sangha, still their mind corrupted with defilements, and also they are not trying to eradicate, trying to remove, trying to give up these defilements, these corruptions. That's called Anikkasavu kāsāvaṃ. Though they wear the discolored robe, this robe is just representing the enlightenment. In Pali it is called Arahat Dhajaya. Arahat Dhajaya means, Arahat means enlightenment, Dhajaya means flag. It is just representing the enlightenment. So being a monk, it's not an easy thing. If you become a monk, by the time you just wear this robe on your shoulders, then there are so many amounts of responsibilities automatically fallen onto your shoulders as a being a monk. Those are the responsibilities. There are so many responsibilities has to be performed by the monk, because it represents the enlightenment. That's why once you may have heard the Angulimala, that means he was wearing a finger garland, by killing people, collecting the fingers of the people after killing them. Then he prepared a garland and he used to wear that. It is said in the scriptures, he killed thousands of men. But after the taming by our great teacher, he became an ordained bhikkhu, and he was a serial killer at that time. But still, after he becoming a monk, the king of the city, king of the country, and all the people used to venerate him, used to worship him. That is because this noble robe representing the enlightenment. That's why people respecting. So to have that respect, we should possess as monks good qualities. Good qualities mean we must try to try to eradicate the defilements in the mind. That is one of the main responsibility possessed by the monks. So sometimes you may question that then this robe can be worn only by the enlightened one, because the only enlightened ones, they are the ones who have completely eradicated defilements. No, the other ones, they already have the defilements. So then they are not able to wear the robes because they are having defilements. No, one can question that, but that's not the case. There are lots of monks. There are so many monks. They still have the defilements. They were not yet get the enlightenment, but at least they should try. Genuinely, they should try. They also worthy to wear the robes. Then, if that is the case, then the Putujjana or the unenlightened bhikkhus will not be able to wear the robes because their mind is already corrupted. You may, as I said, you can question one can question that. No, that is not the case. If you are being a unenlightened person, unenlightened bhikkhu, if you are trying that, if you are at least trying to find the liberation, if you are diligently and urgently, if you are trying to eradicate the defilements, then you are worthy to have this robe. You are worthy to wear this robe. And also it is said, apeto dhamma satchena. Apeto means away from what? Dhamma means restrainment. Just wearing the robe, we cannot behave like the normal, ordinary people, ordinary men and women. We have to be specific with regard to the restrainment of the senses. We have to consider about our postures while sitting, while talking, while going, while having food, while wearing the robes, while sleeping, while standing, while sitting. In every aspects, in every postures, we must maintain the restrainment. That's what called the Dhamma. Dhamma means the restrainment of the senses. So in the first verse it says, apeto dhamma satchena. He doesn't have that unworthy bhikkhus, those who those who are not trying to eradicate defilements, and also they are not maintaining the restrainment of the senses, as well as they don't possess the truthfulness, they don't maintain the truthfulness, and as well as because of that they were not worthy to wear these robes. That is the meaning of first verse. On the other hand, the second verse it says, Yochavanta kasavassa silesu samahito. The second type of persons, Yochavanta kasavassa, they wear the discolored or the painted robes, the this robe, the colored kind of, it's kind of a discolored one. It doesn't have a prominent color. That is because it represents the simplicity, as well as it represents the the undefiled mind, enlightened mind. As I explained in the earlier, it represents the enlightenment. So being a monk, by wearing this robe, we must try to eradicate, we must try to just to given up the defilement from the mind. And also upeto Dhamma satchena, we should have the sensual restrainment. While behaving, we have to be controlled, we have to be tamed. While speaking, while seeing, while standing, while sitting, while having all the 4 postures, while doing every activity, we must maintain the controlling or the restrainment, as well as we should maintain the satchena, mean the truthfulness. It is very important. If a monk cannot, if a person cannot maintain the truthfulness, it is one of the if you cannot maintain the truthfulness, it is considered as one of the worst behavior, one of the worst aspect in the life. In one occasion, our Buddha, great teacher, when he was having a conversation with the King Kosala, it is said that if there's a person who can deliberately lying, who can deliberately tell lies, then Buddha said he has the potential, he has the possibility to perform every other types of unwholesome thing in the world. That's why people who cannot maintain the truthfulness, they can do every other bad or unwholesome activities. That is the nature of the the liar. So as a monk, it is very important, the most important factor, one of the most important factor to maintain the truthfulness. So that's what it's called upeto Dhamma satchena. As a monk, we should try to eradicate the defilements, as well as we have to maintain the restrainment of the senses, as well as, most importantly, we must maintain the truthfulness. If we have these kinds of qualities, then save kasa marahati, we are indeed worthy to wear the robes. So that is the second verse meaning. So Buddha uttered these 2 verses on behalf of the Devadatta's behavior in this life as well as in the previous existence. So somehow the story ended, and after that Devadatta, that is the beginning of his bad behavior, and eventually he had done so many wicked activities against the Buddha, and one time he was trying to kill the Buddha by 16 times. He was planning to execute the Buddha for 16 times, and one of the time he was while Buddha was walking in one of the closer to one of the mountain. At that time, Devadatta just climbed up the mountain and just rolled down a huge rock in order to kill the Buddha. Fortunately, just split off that rock, just hit the feet of the Buddha and just damaged the Buddha's the nail finger in the feet, one of the feet. And thereby he did a, the worst unwholesome deed. There are 5 Anantariya Papa Karma. Anantariya means it's the worst sins can be done by a person. The first one is called killing of a mother, killing of the father, as well as killing of an enlightened being, and wounding the Buddha. That's the 4th factor. And finally schism, making schism or the dividing of the Sangha. So this Devadatta had done 2 heinous crimes, heinous unwholesome activities. One is he wounded the Buddha, as well as he had done the schism on the Sangha. He divided the Sangha into 2 parts. So those are the heinous crimes. And in the next life, immediately they will be reborn in the bottom, the most bottom hell in the world. So that's the wickedness that was done by the Devadatta. So with regard to him, there are so many Dhammapada verses also preached by the Buddha. We could find those verses in future, once we discuss in future Dhammapada verses. We will have so many incidents of the Devadatta. So with that, we have arrived to the end of the Dhamma sermon. So it is not just about the monks. It is as a lay follower also, it is important to maintain. You may not wear the robes as monks, but still you hold the title of the Buddhist. Being a Buddhist, if you are proudly saying that I am a Buddhist, then if you have not that required qualities, if you don't maintain, then you are not worthy to say Buddhist. Say that I am a Buddhist. So you also, it's not only for the monks. Being as a lay person, also you should try to maintain, try to reduce, try to dwindle, try to eradicate your defilements in the mind, as well as you try to maintain the restrainment in the senses according to your capacity, as well as always try to maintain the truthfulness. So that's why being as a lay person, you must observe the 5 precepts. Then you can maintain out of 5 precepts, one of is avoiding lies. So these factors evenly important to the lay persons also. So you having these qualities, you try to further practice Sila, Samadhi and Prajna and find the true satisfaction, true liberation in the mind. So with that, we have come to the end of the sermon. So the merit that we have gained through this noble Dhammadana, first of all, we just share with our teachers, with their permission, to mention their name, Venerable Man Kadawala Sudassana Thero, as well as Venerable Man Kadawala Nandaratana Thero, as well as my teacher Kothmali Kumara Kassapa Thero. May my teacher share these merits, and may my teacher has the infinite blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, as well as may my teachers has the support of all the Devas, all the Brahmas, and may my teachers be well, be happy, and may they find the true liberation from this Buddha Sasana. As well as all the deceased one may share these merits, may have these merits, and may they be well, be happy, and may they find the supreme bliss of Nibbana. As well as all the ones who have attended, who have participated to this Dhamma sermon, while recording, while editing the videos, while just broadcasting, as well as while witnessing this Dhamma sermon. Those who have, all of you who have contributed to this Dhamma sermon in any way, and all the Dhamma friends who have participated as well as not participated. All the noble Dhamma friends may share these merits, and all of you be well, be happy, and finally be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this Buddha Sasana. With that, I conclude my Dhamma talk with these blessings. Abhivadana Silissa Niccang Vaddha Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddhanti Ayuvanno Sukhang Balang Ayuarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Atho Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samijjhatu.